Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Immigration Talk Show. I'm your host, Sam. And today we are back again with a very exciting and important session that is lined up just for you. And before diving into the topic, let me go ahead with this very important disclaimer. By watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not a legal advice. Use of information at your own risk. All right, friends, with that, once again, welcome back everyone to Immigration Talk Show, and I'm your host, Sam. And today, the topic is green card process myths versus reality. What's the truth? So, getting a US green card is like dream for many, but it's also surrounded by confusion, rumors, and half truth. Some say it takes decades. Others think that it's just a matter of luck, and many believe that you just need to marry to a US citizen and you'll get a green card. But you know what is actually the reality behind the green card process? If not, then this video is for you. So make sure to watch this session till the end and also participate in this webinar by asking more and more questions. Because in this session, we are going to break down some biggest myths, also going to reveal the real facts, and also help you understand what actually works and what doesn't. And to help me out, make this session a wonderful one, I have a very special guest here. Joining me in a bit, none other than very energetic and a great speaker, Nandini Nair. So, hi Nandini, and thank you so much for joining here. So good to have you here.
Thank you, Sam. I really appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
All right. And friends, let me tell you about something about attorney Nandini Nair, that she is a partner at AY Strauss and leads the immigration practice with over 25 years of unmatched expertise. And her insights have been featured in the New York Times, CNN, Bloomberg, and more. She's also been recognized as a trailblazer in the legal field. So many great things about you, Nandini. And once again, welcome back to Immigration Talk Show. I'm so happy to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy to dive into this topic. I think it's really important. So,
Absolutely. It does. And the session is really going to be interesting because we are going to burst some amazing myths and facts. So let me go ahead with my very first question. And, this is very important that, according to you, Nandini, that you have a lot of experience regarding immigration and everything. So, till now, what is the biggest myth that you hear about getting a green card?
I think it depends on the background of the individual. Some people it's an easier route. Okay, it's that's the truth, right? If you're from Europe, you get sponsored by an employer, wait time is a lot less. If you're Indian, obviously it's a lot more. So the
Yeah.
myth I would say for your audience that I hear from business side especially is the way they think they qualify for a certain type of green card is actually not correct. They are, my friend got their this way, and so I should be able to get it this way. And in my practice and in my years of experience, my biggest thing is having to disappoint some people to tell them no, you don't qualify. I understand where you think this is how it works, but it actually isn't. So the biggest myth I always find is that they assume that the road that somebody else followed is the same road that they get to follow based on whatever criteria is. And that is something that I face every day with the people having to walk them through this journey.
Wow. It's not just about Nandini, the green card process, but generally, and mostly in terms of immigration, people should understand that everything depends upon case to case. Each case is different.
Mhm.
So that's amazing, and thank you so much for making us understand. Instead of assuming, it's better to be on the facts and get to know what the actually things are. And I think let me go ahead with my next question, that can you burst the myth that a green card is actually the final step in the immigration journey, or is there more?
Yeah, there's more. Obviously, it's getting citizenship, right? The green card is a very important step, and you can live in the United States forever without getting to that next step. But is that the final step? No, it's the citizenship is your final step. And I always recommend most people, again, based on their own circumstances, to go and get that citizenship. Why do I say that? Because even if you have a green card, you can still get deported. You can still be forced to leave this country. It is not the safety net you think it is, as we are seeing today in with this administration. So,
Yeah.
do you want to create a safety net for you and your family? The best option is whenever you're eligible, file that U.S. citizenship and become a U.S. citizen. That's going to protect you in the future.
Absolutely. And I think that was really a great point, Nandini, that, my next question was about to be that if somebody has a green card, then what are the chances of deportation? Because people think, they assume that they have a green card, so it's impossible for deportation. But I
No,
think that's,
that's that's not true at all. Actually, you can get deported. You are not a citizen of the country. You are a citizen of another country, and you are just getting permission to live here legally and to be able to work without having to have a visa of some kind. That's what the green card gives you. You're not allowed to vote, right? So the government, has the ability to say if they don't like you because let's say you committed a certain felony or certain crimes or certain situations like that, they can then have the legal authority to deport you. If you're
yeah.
watching the news today, you're going to see people who have valid green cards. They've been here for years and years, but maybe they were an activist and maybe they were, got arrested for something like that. And you are seeing these individuals getting deported or being put into detention. So
Hmm.
no, green card does not give you full protection to not be deported. You have to always still mind the laws of this country. You have to still follow, the conditions of the green card.
Yeah.
There are people who think, oh, well, I got the green card. Now I'm going to go live in India you
Hmm.
know, because I have this safety thing. No, it doesn't work like that. There's conditions to that. You can only leave for a certain amount of time. If you want to come back, you have to have a certain type of permit to come back in. And if you don't have those, your green card is gone. So
True.
again, it's important to know that the green card is not the final step here. Go for that citizenship. And if you become a US citizen and you want to go back to India, you want to go back to China, you want to go back to Europe, wherever, you will still be able to come back into the United States, unlike a green card holder. You could be gone for 20 years, you could still come
Hmm.
back. So, yes, green card holders can be deported from the United States. It does not give you the protection you think it does.
All right. Thank you so much, Nandini, for explaining us about that. And friends, till now we have covered few questions. And in case if you still have any queries or anything regarding the topic, then please go ahead. You still have time. Put them on the comment section, and we will definitely take them up. Till then, also if you haven't subscribed to Immigration Talk Show, make sure you do it right now. Okay, Nandini, now this next question is again a very interesting one, and this is, most of our friends also says that best and the easy way to get a green card is to marry a US citizen. So
Mm.
what is actually the reality behind it? Like, is it true that marrying a US citizen truly makes sure that he has green card, they'll get without any delay or without any denial? What's the reality behind it?
Okay, first of all, there's no guarantees in any application, right? So that's a myth. That's a myth right there. There's
Yeah.
no guarantees. Every application stands on its own merits and its own facts.
Mhm.
Is marrying a US citizen one of the safer and fastest methods of getting that green card? Yes. That is an absolute truth. That is. But when I say it's not a guarantee, it also depends on the facts of this case. For example, I have practiced enough where I have seen people get married for just getting the green card. They were not really relationships. It was, individuals who are making a deal with each other for payment and getting the green card. I have seen also issues when people, especially in our culture, they have arranged marriages, right? Because then those, even though that's a cultural norm in our culture, it is
Yeah.
not the cultural norm here. So those type of applications will have a difficult, not impossible burden to overcome, to show that this is not about just getting the green card. This is a valid relationship. They are involved, they want to live their life together. So again, Everything runs on facts, and
Mhm.
everybody's case is a little different. But if somebody asks me, hey, what's my fastest way to get a green card? And this is not a, again, uh, saying it to tell everybody go jump and marry a US citizen. I'm just going to tell you on the processing and on the facts, yeah, that's your fastest way to get the green card. Absolutely.
All right, absolutely. That's very well put up. That is the fastest and the easiest way. Not easiest, but at least better than the other ways. But it's also not the reason, that anyone who doesn't have a real relationship can go ahead and get married.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
also, Nandini, one news I'm remembering that
mhm.
right now, these marriage-based green card interviews are also being stricter. I mean, the questions will be asked a little specific with the couples, right? Earlier, it used to be some documents and I mean, little lenient way, but now it's going to be a very tough way. So, if you can also let us know something about, interviews, like what questions
Yeah.
officials can ask, then that will be very good.
Yeah. So let me first of all say that when I look at these type of cases, the first couple of things I look at is the ethnicity of the two individuals. And it sounds silly, but what I look at is an Indian person marrying another Indian person, okay? Or is it a American person, let's say white, marrying an Indian person? The
Mhm.
reason those things are looked at by me is because the officer looks at that, because generally they understand that Indians generally, again, it's not all the case, it's, and it's less and less, marry other Indians. So when they marry outside of their ethnicity, that opens up a red flag in their mind. Like, oh, okay, right? So how did you guys meet? So now the officer is going to say these type of questions. So how long did you date? And remember, it may be against our cultural norms to be dating, like, here, but that's what they're looking at, right? Oh,
Yeah,
so you're different. Okay. All right. Did all your family members were at the wedding? That's one of the questions that people don't realize. You are not just going to City Hall and getting married, and that's the end of that. They're going to question that because also culturally, Indians have big celebrations and family members come and things like that. So they look at that. They look at the pictures,
true.
and stuff. So they'll ask about those type of questions. They will like look at your Facebook. People ask, oh, do they actually look at social media? 100%. I always ask for social media snapshots because generally most people tag their husbands or spouses or girlfriends and things like they post pictures. So these are definitely things that people need to be very aware of, that the officer will look at and ask these type of questions to you. But the history of the relationship is the main thing that they'll ask you is, how did you meet, when did you meet, why did you decide to get married, who was at the wedding, how, various questions like that will be asked at every single interview that I've ever been to. So they should be ready for that.
All right. Okay, I am sure our viewers are keeping a note of all the pointers that Attorney Nandini Nair is explaining. And let me go ahead with my next question, Nandini. And this is about, do green cards expire? And does expiry means that someone has lost their permanent residency?
Right. And this is a myth. This is definitely a myth. And let me break down the reality. Yes, green cards, the actual physical card generally has a 10-year expiration unless you got a 2-year green card. Okay. Yes. And there is an expiration date on that.
Okay.
But it does not void your permanent residency. It does not void your green card status just because the card expired. That is actually a big myth that people seem to have. Like, oh, my card expired. How am I going to, work, or how am I going to do this? No, you got that green card status is attached to your body. That card is just a evidence to show that, hey, I have this status. It doesn't, so if that expires, it does not take that away from you. Now, of course, I always tell people never let it expire. Try to renew it if it happens and stuff like that. But I have clients that, it expired 10 years ago and I had to get a new card for them. Don't have to refile the application for them. I just have to get them a new card. So people should be very much aware, if the card expires, don't freak out. It does not mean that your green card status has expired. It just means the card expired.
Okay. And also, Nandini, talking about, is there any limitation regarding renewing the green card?
No, there's no limitation as long as, you can do it before, like 90 days before, you can do it a couple of years after if it expires. Again, you're going to do
Mhm.
fingerprints, obviously. So every time somebody does renew something or put in an application, I always make sure that clients understand this and I check their backgrounds every time I'm doing an application. If from the time you got the green card to the time you're going to file a renewal application, something has happened in your background, that's going to be a flag even on the basic renewal. Be like, hey, is this person doing something wrong, right? And remember, you're going to get fingerprinted, right? So
Mhm.
if you had a criminal issues and things like that, you are going to might have some problems here. So that should be asked. And even when you naturalize, okay, when you
Mhm.
go and apply for citizenship, they're going to go back to through that history and stuff because you're going to do fingerprints. So
Yeah.
all of these things can, cause the pullback of that status. But just because the card expired and you have not, that's all that happened. No, you could just go and get it renewed and stuff.
True. All right. Okay. And let me also say hi to our viewers because Ricky is here, Ranjit is here, Jadav is here. So, hi, guys, and thank you so much for your questions. Okay, let me go ahead and take up Ricky's comment here. So, Ricky is saying that if I'm not the founder but a core member of the startup helping technically as well as in raising funds and bringing in new projects, can that be used in EB1A application?
He's not the founder, but he has helped to develop, and I assume what he's saying is grow the company. Can he apply for an EB1A? Under extraordinary ability, is he talking about? I assume. Again, every application, listen, works on its own merit. This is another myth that I deal with so much in this green card application, where we have individuals who believe that based on certain things that they have in their background is sufficient enough for them to get that green card, whether it is a multinational manager, whether it's the EB1, extraordinary ability. They don't understand that each application is a case, like a trial, right? Like you got to put up your evidence as to show that, hey, I am this, this, and this. And just because you have evidence one doesn't mean you got it. If the requirements are 8, let's say, you not having 5 is a problem. And even that 3 that you seem to have, if they're weak in their quality, in their content, okay, so you have some publications. You published in like some little paper, with the team. Oh, but I was publicized, no, that doesn't work. If you're a doctor and you were published in the New England Journal of Medicine, that
Mhm.
one thing might be enough to help in that criteria. So everybody has to understand that having a few little dots here does not make the whole application, and it does not make a successful application. That's why you really have to talk to a lawyer, have that lawyer walk through your background and say, okay, I think we have a shot here. And I'm very honest and to a fault in that because I'm not here to waste anybody's money. And I always tell them, listen, this is a weak application. We can take a shot, but I'm going to tell you right now, this is weak. I have 25 years of experience doing this. I can read it immediately when I see it, like, this is not going to work and stuff. Or, hey, this is not a bad place. Let's go. Let's take that shot. I can pull it together for you and stuff. So again, people who are founders or people who are not founders, it doesn't mean about that. It's again, where's the rest of the criteria? What else you got to
Yeah.
show the officer, you know?
Mhm.
So again, to Ricky, if it is, Ricky, talk to a lawyer, show them the background, see if that can work for you. Do a consultation with somebody, don't sit in your own mind thinking this will work or not work. Get some expert advice here.
That's right. And Ricky, why don't you go ahead and get in touch with attorney Nandini Nair because she has lots of experience and with two expert advice, she is going to give it to you. So please go ahead, visit the link that is on the screen, and you'll get the contact details of her. Reach out to her and share your query or your doubt regarding whatever problem you're facing. and she would love to help you out. Okay, and with that, Ricky, if you haven't subscribed to Immigration Talk Show yet, then please do it right now. And let me go ahead with Supriya's question. So Supriya is saying that I have heard so many things online about how long the green card process takes. Like some say it's just a few months, others say it can take years. What's the actual timeline I should expect? Yes, Nandini.
That is a $1 million question. Okay. So Sophia, it's all of that. That's the funny part. It can take a few months, and can take a few years. It can take a few decades and stuff. It actually really depends on a lot of different things. One is your country of birth, not country of citizenship. And as you're probably hearing, yeah, it'll take years and years. Unfortunately, for nationals from India, China, Mexico, Philippines, okay, the backlog is tremendous.
Yeah.
Even though they have the same exact qualifications from somebody from Australia, and they're following the same exact path, whether it's an employer-based filing or something like that, their route and their timeline is going to be different than yours, simply because of your country of birth. So, that's one important factor. Second important factor is, how is the green card being filed? Like we talked about marriage to a US citizen, right? Obviously, that's the faster route. But
Yeah.
employment-based, there's different kind of categories. Some categories are faster, some categories are less. But again, you have to look at where the person is from, the category that they're going to file, and it can move back and forth. An Australian person who's an EB1 can get their green card, I'd say like a year, less than a year, maybe even. But in
Wow.
EB1 India, same
Mhm.
exact qualifications, we're backlogged like 4 years now.
Oh my God.
So
Mm.
EB2, Australian person,
Yeah.
can get it probably in 2-3 years, just because the situation is difficult right now with the perm process. An Indian individual starting in 2025, they're looking at 30 years.
Oh my God.
Exact same person, right? So again, that's why it's there's not a right or wrong answer, and that's why you're confused, Supriya, because it can go from months for some individuals to decades for others.
That's right. That's a bit of truth, I'll say. And
Mhm.
there's a follow up. Okay, she's saying, Supriya, that does it really depend on where I'm from or the type of application? Exactly. That's what Nandini you have shared. And Supriya, I hope that you got your answer. It was really a very interesting question, a $1 million question. And in case if you still have any follow up, then please go ahead and put them on the comment section. We will let you know more about the topic. Okay, Ranjit is here. So, hi, Ranjit, and let's see what he is asking. He's saying that I'm a bit confused about the whole priority dates thing I keep hearing about. Can you explain how priority dates work and why sometimes they move so slowly or even seem stuck? Okay, another interesting question.
Yeah, wow, Ranjit, you're asking a good question. Okay, so very simply, okay, the US government has said we will allow a certain bucket or certain amount, quota of green cards into the country every single year. Okay, there was laws passed, the Congress agreed. They said, okay, ABC. So to think of it like they said 100 green cards can be issued every single year. But then they said, listen, we don't want one country to dominate those 100 open slots. So we are going to put in a second hurdle and say only 7% of that 100 can go to one country at a time. Okay. And within that 7%, you have to break it down between the different categories you have: EB1, EB2, EB3, EB5. No, EB5 has a separate category, but like those categories. So think 100, 7% of 100, and then breaking it down between those categories. Okay. So that's important to understand how there is a tiny amount of green cards that are actually being issued for an Indian national, a Chinese national, a Mexican national, a Philippine national, because you're capped at that 7%. So then the 7% also includes spouses and kids. So you got a family of four, they just took 4 green cards. right there and then. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's the priority date? The priority date is the place in the queue. Because, right, we have a queue here now, right? So how do you get a priority date? Your priority date is based on certain type of applications. It may be the perm application that you filed. When that's filed, that sets your priority date. Okay. When you maybe you don't, you can skip that and you go to the I-140 because based on the certain category. When you file the I-140, that sets your priority date. And that's the date you're looking in that visa bulletin, say, India, I'm an EB2. Oh, here we are. That's where I am. And why does it move slowly and even stuck? Because of that 7% issue. India has an oversubscribed population, meaning that there are thousands more applications than the available spots every single year. That creates the queue and that creates the backlog. And the reason it gets stuck is because the families are taking these green cards. It's not based just on the principal person filing. It is also they count how many family members there are. And we don't know how many family members there are or CIS until the 485 application is filed and approved. That's why the data is never accurate.
Wow. So much to process. And that was beautifully explained, Nandini, explaining everything from scratch. Really great. And I'm sure, Ranjit, you have got a proper understanding of the topic. And in case, if you still have any follow up or want to know more, then please let us know and we will take that up. Okay, Ricky is here with another question. And Ricky is asking that can you give some tips on expediting EB1A application based upon senior role in advancing a startup?
Again, I think every case stands on its own merits, and it's impossible for me to just give you a like 1, 2, 3, do this and stuff like that. Everything has to look, I have to look at the case. I would have to look at the background. I would have to look to see what are the criteria. And like I explained before, individuals sometimes have this idea that, hey, I met 1 or 2 of the criterias, so I should be qualified, and sometimes I get people saying to me as the lawyer, like, well, can you help me with 3, 4, and 5? No, I can't. Like, I can help you organize it. I can help you frame it correctly. I can help you present it well and stuff, but I can't do 3, 4, and 5 for you. So I would say, Ricky, if you're looking for tips on this, again, I don't think any lawyer, really a good lawyer, would be able to kind of on this kind of format be able to give you that advice. I think it's an individual conversation that you must have with a lawyer where they review your background and then they possibly can give you a better understanding of where things can work or not work for you. So I really just recommend that to you.
All right. And I think, Ricky, you can directly go ahead and, get in touch with the Tony Nandini Nair. You just have to visit this link and you'll get the contact details of her. So go ahead, reach out to her and give her a proper detail about your status so that she can, advise you in a better way. Okay, and with that, let me take up Jadav's question. So, hi Jadav, and thank you so much for your comment. He's asking that I'm a graduate with 20 years of experience, married, and have 1 year kid. If I want to apply for a green card, then what strategies should I follow? And what are the chances that we will get the green card and when?
Okay, Jadab, I'm assuming you're here in the US on a visa. Otherwise, you wouldn't be asking this question. Again, what's okay? So there's two, you're already married. So a family based, the fastest route is not going to work for you, right? You're already married. So, generally people will say marriage to a US citizen is the fastest way. But since you're already married, that's not going to work. So family based option is not going to work for you here unless again you have parents who are US citizens and they're able to sponsor you as an immediate relative. That's going to speed up the process and stuff in certain ways. Not as fast as you being a minor child, but some option is there. Other than that, it's employment based, right? Which is where you have to have an employer sponsor you for a
Yeah.
green card. And if you are Indian and if you're going through the traditional route, unfortunately, I don't have great news for you. It is going to take years and years to get to that final step of the green card. But if you start, the sooner you start and have that conversation with the employer, the better for you. Unless you are like, I'm just going to keep it working for 6 years here. Or if you're on an H, for example, 7 or 5, if you're on an L, and I'm going to go back home and that's all it is, that's fine. But most people, especially when they have kids, they're desperate to have that green card, right? Because they want the kids to be able to have an education in the U.S. and go through. They don't want to pull them out from here. So, but I would say, Jada, you have to talk to your employer if you are working here in the U.S. on a visa, and that's probably your only real option. Obviously, there's the EB-5 option, also investing money and stuff like that. But even for Indian nationals, that's a backlog of like 4 or 5 years now. But obviously, much better than doing the traditional perm process and stuff. But there's a lot of money and capital you have to put up, and just different things like that. And people sometimes don't just have that option. So, but talk to your employer if you're wanting to go the traditional way.
All right. So, Jadav, I hope you got your advice and you will make a note of it. And here's a follow up question from Jadav Nandini, that is it true that hiring an attorney can speed up the green card process, or does USCIS treat your case the same whether you have a lawyer or not? Okay, what do you have to say on this?
Listen, you don't need a lawyer to file anything. Really, you don't. Okay, I'm not going to say you do. However, what is the purpose of having a lawyer? The purpose of having a lawyer, and obviously an experienced lawyer, is that they understand the system. They understand the agency. They understand what you need to present to get a successful outcome. That's the reason you go to a lawyer. It's the same way you go to a doctor, right? Like, or a nutritionist. Is it that, or to a trainer in a gym, right? I think we all know how to go to a gym and do something, but why do we use a trainer? Because they give you the expertise and knowledge to get you the result that you're seeking. Same concept with a lawyer, right? I'm going to put that application in a way that I know CIS wants to see it. You don't know it because you don't file those things. I know it, right? And that's what you're getting from me. My knowledge, my experience, my strategy, my know-how, my inside information that I might have, things like that. That's the purpose of hiring an attorney. Otherwise, yeah, go for it. If you think you can do it yourself, go for it. Not a problem.
Absolutely, and that's very well put up. I love the example, Nandini, that you have put. But I think keeping in mind the terms and conditions. Right now, the immigration policies are changing day by day. It's better advisable to have an attorney and get an expert advice, because everything is changing and so many new rules and policies are coming day by day. So, Jadav, I think it will be a little safe option for you to get in touch with attorney Nandini Nair, because that is the way that will be easier and fastest way for you also to get your green card. Okay, okay, Ranjit is here and he's saying thanks, Nandini, for explaining it in simple words. That's so sweet. Let me go ahead with Gigi, and Gigi is saying that my son just turned 21 in May. Should I wait a while for him to petition for me, or is it okay to file now? I came in with a visitor visa and has been here for 25 years.
There's no waiting period once he becomes 21. But here's the issue. How's he going to support you? So when a petitioner files for a green card for a family member, they have to financially support that person, or you have to get a co-sponsorer. So when someone is 21, are they working? Are they still in school? How will they be able to prove that they can financially support you until you become a US citizen, which we're looking at, years from now?
Yeah.
So it's not just your son turning 21. Look at the other requirements for that green card application. It's not just the relationship, it's the financial ability to support that applicant that also is important. But you can also get a co-sponsor and things like that. Some people are very resistant to that because now, especially with the Trump administration, they are definitely looking at some of those things and saying to people, the co-sponsors, are you still supporting this individual? Are you going to support this individual? So people might be a little nervous about doing that. So, but you have to kind of put that into perspective about the financial part of it.
Okay, all right. So, thank you so much, Nandini, for taking up these questions. And now we would also like to move ahead with Facebook questions because we do have lots of viewer over there. So, Control, if you can please share your screen and you know, please make us aware about the Facebook questions. Okay, so this is pretty long, but let me go ahead. This is a question we got from our viewer, and who is saying that my post completion OPT ends on June 2, 2025, and I'm planning to apply for the STEM OPT extension with the requested dates of June 3, 2025 to June 2, 2027. But my college DSO sent I-20 with post completion and date as 1st April 2026 and STEM OPT start date 2nd April 2026 and end
Mhm.
date is 1st April 2028. So I'm applying to USCIS for STEM EAD with this I-20, but dates are not matching. The DSO informed reason for this as the cap gap extension has been automatically added to your service record, which in your specific case results in an updated end date of April 1st, 2026. Therefore, the service system forces us to issue the STEM OPT recommendation dates based on that date, this resulting in your STEM extension showing on your I-20 as April 2nd, 2026 to April 1st, 2028.
Mhm.
Your I-20 is correct. If your STEM OPT is authorized, USCIS should issue your EAD card based on your correct STEM OPT authorization period, which in your case will be June 3rd, 2025 to June 2nd, 2027.
Mhm.
So, will USCIS accept my STEM EAD application with I-20 shared by DSO, which have different dates? Yes, Nandini.
Okay, so this is a little confusing to me because he's talking about the cap gap extension. So that's issued generally when somebody has been selected in the H-1B.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure if this individual, if that's what's going on and that's why the dates are off here. But do I think they'll accept it? I think yes. I do agree with the DSO what they're saying. And so I think you should not have an issue applying with this I-20 with the different dates. And if anything, they might kick it back, and you might get it, like an RFE, and your DSO will provide a letter, and you should be able to get that through pretty easily and
Okay.
stuff. So I'm not super concerned about that. Based on these things, like I said, the cap gap is throwing me off a little bit, but the other stuff, yeah, I'm not super concerned about it.
All right. Let's move ahead then with the next question. I think we can't see the next question. Control, can you please change the next question? Um, I think there are some internet issues that we can't see the next one. But that's okay. I think let me go ahead with another question that I have with me, Nandini. And
Mm,
till the time we can, continue with the Facebook questions.
yep.
Okay, so this is another myth, Nandini, that most of the people say. Many people believe that having a US born child automatically gives them a green card. So I would like to know, like, how accurate is that?
No, that's not accurate. That doesn't. It's not an automatic process. Like we were just talking with Gigi, right? When your child turns, if they were born in the United States, and a lot of people's kids are born in the US, right? They're here on visas, they have kids here, and the
Yeah.
kid turns 21, then the kid can sponsor the parents. Yes, that is all true, but again, it's an application. As we talk about it, nothing is a guarantee, right? Everything has to stand on its own merits. Everything has to be decided by USCIS. And just because your child is a US citizen does not translate into you. It does not transmit to you. They have to turn get to 21, then they have to put in an application, then that application has to get approved. That's the process of getting the green card through your child.
Absolutely. And many people think, just by having a child, they're going to get the green card, but no, that's not the thing.
Mm.
And Nandini, I think we have a Facebook question here. So this is I have been sent my passport along with a 221G form, asked me to come.
Mhm.
Along with passport and this blue 221G form, have not asked any documents, then what it means.
So if they've asked you to come for an interview, that means they have some questions. They don't need the documents because either they have documents from your application that's sufficient, but they have
Mhm.
some extra questions they have want to ask you. I see this all the time that there's not additional documents that are being asked. My response to you to prepare for this is have your documents still with you. Whatever you are going to present, and even if they haven't asked for it, still bring it with you in the
Mhm.
event that the officer asks for something or you some clarification. So don't walk in there without all of that information. But is it like common not to get any document requests? Yes. But they're there to interview you. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. And there's another question, Nandini, and it is that do I need to submit my new I-94 to USCIS after my return? Since after travel, I-94 gets updated.
um, I'm not sure what that means, but what I'm assuming is in the olden days, before I-94 was automated or electronic, we used to get a card, right? When we used to enter, and that card was attached to a page in our passports. And
Mhm.
the law was that when you were leaving the United States, you are supposed to hand that back over to the airport officials who are looking at these things so that they can then manually go in and enter this information in the system. And if you didn't, then it could cause some problems and stuff like that. Your record isn't clean. You don't have to do any of those things right now. Your I-94 is linked to your passport. So when the passport is scanned upon your, departing the US or returning back to the US, it automatically gets updated on the CBP website. So there's nothing you personally have to do at this point.
Okay, okay. And let's move ahead with our next question. Okay, this is from Gopal, and Gopal is asking that family based adjustment status filed on November 29, 2024. So biometric is done. When can we expect the green card? Yes, Nandini.
I mean, what do you mean by family based, right? There's very different processing times generally, right? Is it marriage to a U.S. citizen? Is it parent of U.S. citizen? Like there's just different things. But generally, let's say you're here, you filed an adjustment of status. That means that you filed a 485, you filed it about November 29th. So let's say December 1, generally, it's only been 7 months. You are looking probably at least, if it's an immediate relative position, I'd say at least towards the end of the year. I'm not seeing that any earlier than that at this point. And remember, there's interviews now, so local offices processing times are different. If you're filing in Iowa, where there's not that many applications or something like that, the interview schedule is much better. If you're trying to file in New Jersey, when there's so many applications, there's hardly any spots at this point. So it all, like I said, everything depends on the facts of each individual situation.
Yeah.
I know everybody wants like a B C, and it fit to everybody's profile. It just kind of unfortunately doesn't work that way. You can get high level information, but keep in mind that everybody's case is different.
That's so true. That's so true. And thank you so much, Nandini, for explaining everything in a great way with amazing examples. I personally really enjoy having shows with you, and I hope you also do with me. But that was really amazing, and I'm really looking forward to another session. And friends, let me tell you that Nandini is a little busy today, so we have to take a leave 15 minutes before. But you can also get in touch with Attorney Nandini Nair in case if you are still having any questions. Go ahead, get in touch with her. You'll get the contact details and she's going to help you out. Thank you, Nandini.
Thank you for having me, Sam. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, friends, with that, that's the end of this webinar. And thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Our handle is at Immigration Talk Show. And also follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and on Instagram as well. And till now, it was really great having Attorney Nandini Nair here, and we have understood so many things about green card process. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I'm Sam, and keep watching Immigration Talk Show.